The strike is now in its fourth week. If you're wondering what strike, I mean that embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities. Nigeria's tertiary institutions have been shut down since the lecturers went on strike. And there have been questions as to what progress has been made. They went on a one-month warning strike, which is now in its fourth week. And there were hopes that perhaps, given the time frame, they would have been able to sort out the matters which ASUU had raised before the expiration of this one-month warning strike. We asked this morning just how much progress has been made. We're joined in our Abuja studios by the president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm just wondering where we currently are at. I mean, we've had there's been a number of meetings while this strike has gone on. You have said, I think in the very first week, you said that the strike didn't need to extend beyond a week if government was serious, that a host of things which you're asking for could be sorted out within a matter of weeks. But this is almost the end of the one-month warning strike which you gave, and it doesn't look like there is light, or the light maybe at the end of this tunnel still looks very, very far away. Can you tell us what progress, if any, has been made since you started the strike?
Well, thank you very much. This is the fourth week, and in 2 days' time, the 4 weeks warning strike would have been over, and then my member will meet to take further action. But I can assure you, nothing tangible has happened, nothing visible, nothing you can say they have done. We've met with the Minister of Labour twice, and all they are saying is the same old promises that they've been talking about. We will do the timeline. We have been on that since 2020, and nothing. But till now, nothing tangible has been done. If you recall that we would have started that strike in November, but because of the intervention of NIREC, Nigerian Inter-Religion Council, we gave a room for them to intervene, and they did. They met with the president on 1st of February and raised this issue with the president. And the president promised they will address them. I appointed, I think, a 3 or 4 man committee to quickly look at it. The Chief of Staff, Minister of Labour, Minister of Education, I think Minister of Finance, to look at it. It was all over the country. But still, that committee had not called us for any meeting. The Minister of Labour, just as usual, have done his own, called meetings with nothing tangible to show. As at now, absolutely nothing tangible has been done. And our members have decided that, look, we'll be signing MOU, MOA, and nothing is happening, that this time we should not. Let's see some sign of what has been done. And now, absolutely nothing has been done.
Well,
that's where we are.
Okay, so you said nothing has been done. It's not for, some people say, is it for lack of effort? Is it that, are there problems? I mean, are there constraints? And if there are, what are the constraints? We know that government says that they would like to take a second look at the 2009 negotiation. There are now talks that perhaps the terms of agreement reached at that time were terms that were going to be very difficult to fulfill in the first instance. How has ASUU welcomed the new committee which federal government has set up to take a second look at the 2009 negotiated agreement?
Well, is it part of the lack of will, lack of interest in the public university system? And that's what you have. We finished that negotiation in May 2021. That is 10 months ago. And both sides agreed that ASUU would revert back to his member to look at it, whether they will agree with it. And government team reverted back to their government, to their principal, to give the permission to sign, or if there are issues, they should raise it. 10 months. Nothing happened. Now we started the strike. You say you are putting a new committee to look at it. Does it really sound that people who are interested? This issue, like I said, can be resolved in one meeting. Even if that committee they set up 2 weeks ago have been serious, in one meeting we'll resolve all the issues. If you have issues you disagree with, you bring to the table. But we have not been called to a meeting by that committee.
These issues seem to remain vague. Part of what we know is this question of IPIS versus UTES.
Yes.
Federal government talks about using IPIS. ASUU says, no, we are bringing up UTES, or we have brought up UTES, and we think that this is a better platform to pay us. And it looks like that has not been accepted. Maybe there was some compromise at some point, but now we're hearing from NITSDA that UTES did not pass an integrity test. And these are some of the things that are currently happening, are coming up as a result. What exactly, from some of the issues that have come forth, what is constituting the biggest hurdle for us to really be able to call this off once and for all?
Thank you very much. When you now have dishonesty in a system, you have those problems. We listened to the report by NIDA that they didn't pass a test, but I came with documentation to show their report. If a program is subject to a test and it scores 77%, will you say it failed? If a system is passed through end user test and it scores 88%, will you say it failed? And they are here, their report. That's why I brought them. So Nigeria will see. This is the report. This is summary of the report. NIDA. A total of 687 issues were tested. The solution we have passed 529, according to them, and failed 156. If you do the mathematics, it's 77%. But that's not even the issue.
What's your verdict there?
Then it should be passed. It's A+. Any program that's called A+, it's a pass. But if there are issues you didn't understand, you will come back to this other party and say, which is what we are doing now. When we met with the Minister of Labour, they raised this issue. And we're able to show that what they are saying, this 56 did not pass, is not correct. That they didn't understand the speciality, the structure of the university system when they were testing, which we are doing now, and the thing is going on. And when we were surprised, why were the Ministry of Labour, we all agreed that this thing was not correct, that this thing they say failed was not correct. They even went ahead and printed things that had nothing to do with it and pasted. And at that reconciliation meeting, we agreed that we and they should go and they should do the test while we are there, our technical team, and then we should have special and independent observer from Ministry of Labour, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Finance, the National Salary, Income and Wages Commission, that they should all be there to monitor the process. That was going on. The DG of NIDA will never attend any meeting. The Minister of Communication will never attend any meeting. But these people who were not there when these were discussed, people were not properly briefed. They've gone to brief FEC that this did pass, which is not correct. When you subject it to what we are doing now, we will have 99%. But he went ahead to tell the country a lie. And this is why they are creating problems in this country. It is very clear here. I will show you the next one. When we finish the testing, when they finish with us, then this document we have presented to the Senate President, to the Accountant General, this document, to end user the VCs, they say we must present it to people who will use it to implement for the payment, which we agreed. And we presented in NUC. Somebody from bursary in payment, somebody from registry, the Human Resource Department. And they did the test. I will read their result to you. It's here. The first question they asked, end users experience. Is the system user-friendly? You can look at it. 95% say yes of those who tested. 95%. The next question they asked them, are you satisfied with the system? 88.6% said yes. The next one, would you recommend the system for adoption in your institution? 88.9% said yes. Then finally, is the overall performance of the system satisfactory? 83.3% said yes. The end user, people who use it, who understand the system. This is what we have. And the director of NIDA have gone on air to say he did not pass a test. 2, our own idea as a union is to develop a system, not to house it. And we all agree, even with NIDA, that this process will be housed in NUC, National University Commission, who will control it. And they have gone on air to say ASUU has not provided database. Is it our business? I want to provide a system, and it's a government will use it. And with this system, if really implemented Nigerian university system, the president can one day say, I want to look at what happened in UI. He key into the system, and for the next 5 years or so, you will see what happened in UI, what the recruitment procedure, and what have you. A standard system. But what do? They prefer to use IPs. We also asked NIDA, when IPs, a foreign system was brought to this country, did you test it? They said no. Have you tested it in the past 13 years that I've been working? They said no. So you brought a foreign process to this country, developed by a company in somewhere outside the country, and they brought it to your country to use to pay your salary. You didn't test it. But the one developed by your academics, your intellectuals, score almost 80–90%. You say you didn't integrity. So why is the integrity of IPs? Can they tell Nigerian people, let NIDA and the government tell Nigerian people whether they have tested IPs? And the result is very clear. Not just we. Yesterday or 2 days ago, NECO staff said 246 members have not been paid since 2015 on IPs. Not with this time, we use us as an example. In the universities, a lot of our members have been paid. Professor, you wake up one morning, you are paid 40,000. And what are they trying to do? To please the government. No, the government is banditing that with IPs we have saved 100 billion per annum. Know what they are doing? They cut my salary, cut your own, cut everybody's own. And at the end, they present that we have saved money. Meanwhile, there are people's money you didn't pay. And that is the fraud going on in IPs. And that fraud was well reported by the Auditor General of the Federation. And they are hiding the report. We challenge this government to publish that report of the Auditor General report of 2019. And Nigeria will see the fraud that's going on. And you will not have said what I prepared by you that have passed through all the processes of tests. So that is the problem we're having.
Is this the biggest bone of contention?
That is just one. Why I'm emphasizing is that they have gone to poison Nigerian mind that this system failed, which is a lie. And I will challenge them to come for a contest. We have told them, let's test the two, IPs and this together. They refused. We did it on our own. The report is on air now, it's in the media. We did it on our own. And you know what? UTES, our own, score A+. 110 over 100. Why did I score F?
You say this is one of the issues. But
I'm
asking if this is the biggest issue.
No. It's just one of the issues, but it's very fundamental.
Okay.
Because our members are disenchanted. With this system, no lecturer will come from abroad to teach in Nigerian university. None. Because you can't be coming from a professor coming from UK, from Ghana, and enter Nigeria and say, take your vehicle, go to Abuja, or take a plane, go to Abuja, go and register on IPs, standing in front of a clerical officer to register. They will not come. So it's very fundamental. If we don't change this, it will destroy the system. Because no sound-minded will want to teach Nigeria. Even the good one will start leaving, and they're already leaving. If you look at Nigeria today, we have less than 70,000 lecturers in all Nigerian universities, private, state, and federal, because they are leaving. And none is coming back because of this system. That is the problem we're having with this system. That's why we are emphasizing, because it's the key to all of them. Two, we have issue of renegotiation. We negotiated with government in 2009 and signed an agreement. That agreement encompasses a number of things. They only implemented just one session. All of that's outstanding. I would say, and the agreement will indicate that every 3 years we will renegotiate based on the exchange rate and what have you. 2009, it is 13 years by this month, we have not renegotiated. We started the process in 2017, and the government came in with this bogus thing that for us to agree on an agreement, we might allow Nigerian students to pay 1 million naira as school fees, which we resisted. You are in a country where the minimum wage is 30,000, and you want the students to pay a fee of 1 million. And we resisted it, and that made this agreement, this negotiation lasted from 2017 to 2021. When they removed that man who was pushing it, remember, Babalaki? And we reached an agreement. And we would have thought that we would have gone back, within 1 or 2 months, they will come back. If there are issues, we look at them. But we are being told in February 2022 that they have set a committee to renegotiate it. They are getting Nigerian, they are destroying this country, because without good education, the country will not go anywhere.
Let's flip this conversation to my colleagues in Lagos. Gentlemen.
Well, thank you, Markwe. Well, Prof, one of the issues raised by the DG of NIDA is where will they put UTES? For instance, one of the comments ascribed to him says, okay, for IPs, we have a data center built for it. ASUU, where are we going to put UTES? That means we need to have the data center and also check to ensure that it meets the minimum requirements. Because if you put people's information and the system crashes, how can you pay them salaries? Are you aware of this, and what's your response to it?
My response is very clear. IPs.
Go ahead.
IPs that they talked about where is the data center based? The data center was created by the Office of Accountant General, and it's in the Office of Accountant General, a government center being used by a private company. That is a piece. For us, from the beginning, we agreed that it's not ASUU's. When we finished, it's not ASUU is not going to implement it. It's the government that is going to implement it using the organization that coordinates all universities' activity in Nigeria, which is National University Commission, NUC. And the NUC agreed 100% that they will create the center and fund it and ensure it operates very well. And this same group, this is how we are so angry with this. These same people, NIDA, in process of testing, visited the NUC data center, and they didn't have a problem with it. So we are surprised that the director of NIDA is talking about data center. We are developing a solution that will give to government and will be housed by NUC, which have accepted that they will house it and provide all the needed to ensure it runs fluently. So we are surprised that the director of NIDA is coming again to say, where will ASUU house the problem? Will house the UTES? It's laughable, which means they are not following the process. I want to advise the director of NIDA, attend the meetings on UTES. That's your responsibility. You don't stay somewhere and then you go out and issue a statement that is not related to what your people are doing with us.
In the process
so the center will be housed in NUC, funded by NUC.
Okay.
Yes.
In the process of developing this solution, did ASUU in any way confer with NIDA in the development of UTES, just to ensure that at least we can cut off some bureaucracy?
Thank you very much. We remember in 2020 when we were on strike, we told the government that IPs is not working, and we have all agreed that we can develop alternative. And this is 2014. The idea, they ran away. They came back 2017 to force it on us. That we'll develop alternatives for you, but give us 4 months, we'll do that. And we have developed it. And when we met with them in 2020, December, they told us that for that program to be implemented, it has to be tested by NIDA, which we agreed. And we gave that project to NIDA in March 2021 for testing. March 2021 for testing. They brought the report in January 2022. More than 10 months later. So it took them 10 months to test. And they came with the result, which I have provided this year. It's very clear that by their own idea, the program scored 7%, which is wrong because we have gone through it and found out it's not correct. And then we now agree, because of this disagreement, the Minister of Labor and Employment, and we must commend him, said that we should now stay together and look through the system. This area they say failed, so that we can correct them if there's any. and to ensure that it's transparent, that there should be observers from the Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Finance, NUC, and what have you, that they will all be there to ensure that the program is well monitored. Which we are doing perfectly. We are doing perfectly. We are working very harmoniously together. But while we are doing this, the head of that same NIDA went on air to say it has failed. That is what's getting my members angry. What is not correct?
Well, Prof, I know there's been some back and forth between ASUU and the minister who's in charge of NIDA, and I know you've spoken about that. You say that you think that this is some sort of vengeance or something like that. But going back to what the DG of NIDA said about the integrity test that was conducted on UTES. Now he said that they wrote reports and forwarded them to the different stakeholders involved, including ASUU. And according to him, he says, as we speak now, ASUU is working on trying to fix all the issues we highlighted with the system, and they say we'll review it. He says that NIDA will review it again. Can you confirm that indeed ASUU is trying to review and work on areas that were pointed out in UTES, and you're built for another review, or do I call it integrity test?
You see, that's what I've just talked about. We have done the whole job. When they were doing their test, this test they talked about, because they don't understand what the university structure is. They don't understand what the peculiarity in the university structure, the designated certainties has been not correct. And we have started this meeting since Tuesday, I'm sorry, with all the observers in place. What that is going, instead of the director of NIDA to be there and look at what is happening, he has gone on air to fake, to say this thing failed, without waiting for what is in process. Because if two sides are working on a document, we are assessing a document, should one side go on air to say it has failed when we have not finished the process? And that's what the director of NIDA and the Minister of Communication have done. We were still looking this by working together with their team. We are still going there today for that meeting. And the minister has gone on air to tell us it has failed. Instead of getting a report from his team.
Just to be clear, does that mean that you're
still... And that's why we believe these are just trying to rubbish an issue on personal ground.
Okay, Prof, we're due for a break in about a minute. But before we go on break, I just need to confirm, does that mean that ASUU is indeed still trying to work on UTES to block those loopholes, as it were? Are you still developing or upgrading UTES?
No, there's nothing wrong with UTES.
So you're done on your side with UTES, am I right?
We are true. It's still with them. We are now going through one by one to ensure that those areas they didn't understand, they will not put them through. Let me give you an example. When you have a university, they have option of having collegiate system or faculty system. That is it. So some universities have college. We operate college. University of Nigeria operate faculty. But in their testing, when they see college, they say it is wrong. When they see the word college as the head of the academic unit, they say it is wrong. But it's not correct. It's in the program. Because some universities have colleges, some have faculties. So those are the things we are now educating them on.
Prof, we're due for a break now, but we're not in any way done with this conversation because it's a big one. So we'll go to break and we'll come back to some of the major issues on this one. Please stay with us.
As we speak now, ASUU are reworking, trying to fix all the issues we highlighted with the system, and we'll review it again. But that is just one half of the story. The second half of the story also, we need to find where to put that system. Like IPPIS, we have a data center built for it. ASUU, where are we going to put it? That means we need to have the data center, and also that data center we need to check to make sure it meets minimum requirement. Because if you put people's information and the system crashes, how can you pay them salary?
Well, that's the DG of NIDA speaking with press at the State House just some days ago. And we've been speaking with Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, who's been responding to that one. Professor Osodeke is the president of ASUU. 2 days to go on that 4-week warning strike. But let me just quickly refer back to what the DG of NIDA said, and just to clear the air as well on that one. So eyepiece, we understand, I mean, from what you have said also, was procured by the federal government. What will it cost the federal government with UTES in terms of, or do I say procurement, in terms of getting a data center in place? Just what's the quantum of funds we're looking at to get this running, if indeed we will get it running?
Thank you very much. The truth is that this is developed by academics in Nigerian universities. 2, the Nigerian University Commission have agreed to host the center, and they are ready. They have all that you need to host it, as confirmed by their team. The issue they were raising on NUC, you can call the ESN to talk to you on this. The issue they were raising by NUC are things like fire extinguisher, computer, trained personnel. These are things you will get when you have accepted the program. You have not accepted the program, you say go and employ personnel. The data center is ready in NUC. All the NUC will do once this program is accepted is that they will get people in from universities to enable them develop that place, put it, host the document, and that's all. It will cost this country little or nothing. But if you watch eyepiece, as I speak to you, on my behalf, on every staff in Nigeria, the federal government is paying on an annual basis money to IPs for running salary on every staff. The federal government is paying in hard currency on every staff for running IPs. Transferring the money outside the country. But what we have developed is local content as being preached by the government, by the academics, and that you can host in Nigeria, and you don't have to employ Nigeria to run, and then you don't have a problem. So that is the difference between them. And two, very critically, like I said earlier, we have tested ASUU, the UTES, and it's working. You didn't test the other one, and it's not working as you have seen from the general report. So that is the difference. So there is no problem at all. I am surprised that the director of NIDA is saying that where will data be hosted, asking ASUU, which means he has not been following this process. If he didn't even read the report by his committee. Because when you read the report by the committee, their visit to NUC was well indicated. The facilities available in NUC, when they visited, was where they went twice, were well documented. And the director did not know that all this, which means he didn't read the report. He's speaking without looking at the report submitted by his team. It's so unfortunate. That is type of people we have heading a center like NIDA. You didn't read the whole report. The report is available. We'll make it available to Nigerians. What they reported on data center. It's not our duty. I wanted to create the solutions.
Well,
and
Prof,
the federal government will host it.
It is sad that this
coordinated by NUC.
It is sad that this back and forth is ongoing. ASUU, NIDA, the Ministry, Labor, Education, and there are students out there. In fact, some of them, when this strike started on February the 14th, they tried to hang around the schools, thinking and hoping that the strike would end after the first week. But the first week came, second week, third week. Now we're in the fourth week. And I just want to jump ahead and ask you, 2 days to the end of the 4 weeks that were declared for warning strike, should the students just wait till Monday and expect that studies will resume since this 4 weeks lapses on Sunday?
Thank you. Like we said, this strike didn't need to last more than 1 week. If the government had taken it serious, if those who were mandated to resolve repayment were serious, like I told you, the president mandated 4 ministries, Chief of Staff, Minister of Labor, Minister of Education, and Minister of Finance to resolve this issue as quickly as possible. Till now, they have not met with us. They have not even called for a meeting. So if they were serious in resolving the issue, it will not last more than 3 days. But now this is the 4th week, and nothing has been done. So what do? But when we had little problem, when they had problem in Ukraine, when this country had problem in Ukraine, the son of the rich are schooling, it did take them 2 days to bring out $8.something million to go and recover, bring people home. It didn't take them too long at all to get $8.something million to go and get those people home. But our students in Nigeria are all at home, are in school, because of minor issue. It's taking 4 weeks and the government is not responding. That is our system. Because those are the children of the rich, children of those people who are in power, you bring them home immediately. But the children of the ordinary Nigerians who are on the street, who are on this Nigerian here, who cannot afford to go outside, 4-week strike, for minor issues we can resolve within 1 week, they are not interested.
So my question, Prof, is that...
tragedy of Nigerian university system.
So still back to my question, Prof. Can those students here in Nigeria resume to school, resume their studies on Monday, since the warning strike elapses on Sunday?
We also have a system. The system, we follow the system. The strike was declared by the NEC of ASUU. The NEC will meet at the expiration of the 4 weeks, review what has happened, and take its decision. We don't take decision for our members. Our members decide what they want to do.
But then the committee set up by the federal government has 3 months to work. Does that mean there is a likelihood that the strike will continue until the issues are resolved?
Let me ask the committee and Nigeria this problem. If you have reached an agreement in May 2021, a draft agreement has been produced, and government has been holding a copy of that agreement from May 2021 till today. If they are really serious, do you need 3 months to look at that document and raise the issue you think are not correct and come to look at it? Do you need 3 months? When we met with the Minister of Labor, who was conciliating 3 weeks ago, He told us they will finish that process in 6 weeks. Now, the Minister of Education, the same people who should be working together, have told the world they will finish in 3 months. Why will it take a 3 months to review what you have done and then sign?
You know, the terms of reference of this committee is very telling. I'm looking at, I hope that we'll be able to, put it up for our viewers, but A says, liaise and consult with relevant stakeholders to finalize the position of the federal government to the issues in the draft proposed FGN ASUU renegotiated settlement. Renegotiate in realistic, that's B now, in realistic and workable terms, the 2009 agreement with other university-based unions. It does look like there are terms that are unrealistic that have been set out. I mean, this is what I glean from the terms and conditions which this new committee now has to work with. There have been talks, and I think that there's talking about revitalization, that part of what was reached was that it was going to cost about 1.1 trillion naira. And the federal government has said that it cannot afford on a sustainable basis that 1.1 trillion naira for revitalization. Is ASUU seeing this as a hurdle? And is it also trying to find ways around? Is it proposing solutions to say, okay, maybe given the current economic circumstances, this is another route through which you can achieve this figure more realistically?
You see, they should tell Nigerians the truth. The 1.3 trillion naira we arrived at in 2013, during the era of President Jonathan. And when we met with him in 2013, we said to a noble government able to release this money, let's spread it over 6 years. On yearly basis, release 220 billion naira to all the Nigerian university system.
That is minus salaries, minus
yes,
other...
Yes, why we did that?
No, I'm just trying to clarify for our audience, what this amount is exclusive of.
Yes.
Minus salaries, minus other running expenses which accrue to universities, minus the funding that goes into TED Fund, an extra 220 billion naira.
Yes.
To just the tertiary.
Let me give you the idea how we arrived at that. When we freed regulation in 2009, and we raised this fund because our university are in a dilapidated state. When I was a student in Rivers State University of Science and Technology in 1984 to 87, in my department of crop and soil sciences, we have 5 nationals teaching in that department. We have somebody from Sierra Leone, Senegal, somebody from Ghana, somebody from Sri Lanka, somebody from Poland, teaching in one department. But today, you can't see any university you have up to 2 foreigner teaching because the system is bad. When I was a student, we have foreigner as students with us in the university. Just like you have Nigerian students all over the world. But today, you don't have any foreign student coming here because the system is bad. So the federal government said they don't believe what we said. They now set up a committee headed by Mahmoud Yakub, the present NINEC chairman, to go around all the universities and look at the state of the equipment and everything in the university. We went to one of the first generation universities and they were using stove as Bunsen burner in the chemistry lab. We went to a university where you have 16 students staying in one room as hostel. Each of them have a stove. What is the health situation? The committee, after all this, came out to say there is a need to put 1.3 trillion in all Nigerian universities. So when we met with Goodluck Jonathan then as president, we agreed that let's spread it over 6 years. The first one was released in 2013. Since then, this government has already released 70 billion to revamp the system. Just like they pump money into Genco and Desco today, which they have sold out. They are pumping billion into it. We are spending billion on fuel subsidy, so-called fuel subsidy. Why can't you put 200 billion to revamp your university in a year? Is that too much? Is it up to what we are spending to revamp banks, to what do you call it? The thing they be doing to banks and what have you. Is that too much? If you want to change your system, let me give you this. In the 70s, maybe you were there in the 80s, 70s, you will not hear a building collapsing in Nigeria. You will not. It doesn't, because you have the properly trained people, practical and what have you, running the ministry and what have you. Today, is there any day a building don't collapse? Because we are training people, we are not passing through the current program, no equipment to train them. Nigeria is paying for it.
So, Prof, perhaps in 2013, it might have been, 2013, we seemed awash with petrodollars. Crude oil prices were at an all-time high. It would seem that we spent a lot of it on subsidies and frivolities. I'm not very certain what we spent the money on. But this is now 2022. We've experienced a number of recessions in that time. We've experienced COVID. And this is currently where we are. Oil prices are just beginning to go up now. And instead of us to even be able to reap the benefits, we seem to be spending a lot of it again on subsidies and a lot of things that, you have to ask questions. And we're borrowing heavily. We see how much, we're spending a lot of it on debt servicing because of how much we're currently borrowing. For a number of people, they know that the country is currently in dire straits. Does ASUU acknowledge that?
We do completely. You see, when you look at when we met in 2017 on this issue, we and the government set up a committee of 7 men, headed by Muzali Jibril, to go and look for other sources of funding Nigerian university system, of raising this money. I was in that committee. We worked and submitted a report that you don't have to look for petroleum to raise this fund. We'll give you an example. At that time, we're talking about this stamp duty being managed by an individual then, though he's dead now. Take a percentage. We say, if that percentage you are doing, if you put it on the system, I take percentage of that stamp duty and use to fund, you raise this fund. And other duty, even this agreement we have reached, this one we talked about, when you look at it, we have also suggested ways of how to raise the fund. But in this extent, we don't depend on our local intellectuals. We want to get something from abroad. We are more interested in going to run and collect loan than looking for how to use our intellectual here, use our university, using this triple helix system to develop our system. No, we run abroad and collect loan. We run abroad and collect loan. As I speak to you, so we are giving more aid to US than US is giving to Nigeria. You ask me why. Nigeria will spend its money, train doctors, train academics here in this country. When they finish, they move away to go and teach abroad. Is it not true? Can you quantify how much Nigeria is losing on that? To US. In US, we're not less than 30,000 Nigerian doctors in US. Train here. They don't pay. They don't pay to this country. Saudi Arabia recently, you saw them. After the doctor strike and the Ministry of Education punished them, went to court, said you must call it a strike. They left this country to Saudi Arabia. We are expecting them. Train here. And we are lacking doctors. So what I'm saying is that if these countries, look, Ghana give about 50 to 20% of their budget to education. South Africa is the same thing. And one of the best universities in the country. We are giving 5.6%.
But we also know that education, even in those countries, are not cheap. I mean, part of what the federal government has pushed for, you talked about the Wale Babalaki committee, which also asked the students pay a bit more. Yeah. Is ASUU really against that?
We are saying this. What is the minimum wage in South Africa? What is the minimum wage in South Africa? It's more than the salary of a professor in Nigeria. So, that man can pay the fee. But you give somebody 30,000 naira as minimum wage and you say, come and pay 1 million as school fees.
So perhaps not 1 million. Are you against an increment?
The students are already paying. The students are already paying. In those countries, you go to university, you have hostels. In those countries, you have good hostels, standard hostels. You come to Nigeria, majority of students are living on their own in shanties. They're already paying.
Prof, you've also noticed that every time ASUU, maybe a truce is reached, you talk about 70 billion, which was released the other time by this government. We also will see that, the polytechnics too will come up. We also will see that NASU too will come up. These bodies too also require money. And it will seem that those monies are not captured in what ASUU is asking for. You've talked about 220 billion, and you say, is that too much? But there'll be questions as to, what is going to happen to these other bodies? Are they captured in the 220
Whatever
which you're talking
ASUU
about?
is asking for is for the Nigerian university system. It's not about ASUU. The money released is not
captured. I mean,
yeah, the money released don't release to ASUU.
It's not capturing the entirety of Nigeria's tertiary education system.
Good.
It is just for the university system.
Yes. What is 200 billion? Convert it to dollar. Convert 200 billion naira to dollar.
You just complained about $8.1 million, which was released
That's what I'm saying. I said
to bring back Nigerian
yes,
students.
yes.
That is about 8.4 billion naira. I mean, that 8.1 billion. So I'm trying to even wrap around my head. That's
Yes.
$8.4 million or $8.1 million, which was released. It's about $8.4 billion. I'm trying to, I beg your pardon, naira. I'm trying to imagine what 200 billion per annum will be for just universities. It's not capturing all tertiary institutions.
Let me tell you.
It's not capturing polytechnics.
Let me tell you, this country, to do a railway line from Kaduna or Abuja to Niger, Nigeria is spending 1.7 trillions of naira. And we are saying education, the most critical sector in the world. If you want to develop your country, education is more critical. What is 200 billion? It's less than 1% of federal allocation fund, well, fact fund. Less than 1%. It's less than 1% in a year. Why can't this country say, look, to solve this problem, let's devote 2% of fact allocation to education, whether at the state, at the federal, whatever. And you solve that problem. If you believe that education is important, just 2%. I'm not going to pretend. 2%. Say we are taking 2%. You know what they give to NDDC? That nothing is happening. Let's take 2% and say, let's put it to solve this problem. 2%. You resolve all these problems. So funding is not the problem. The problem is the will. And very critically, the problem is those who run this system. They are strangers in this country. Their children are all abroad. Their family are abroad. So whether people are in school or they are not in school, whatever, it does not concern them. If their children are here in these schools, in these universities, if their relatives are all here in these universities, they will give 10% of fake money to solve those problems. But they are not here, so it doesn't bother them. You see them during a convocation, how they stand with their children so proud. Have you seen any of these people standing with their children so proud in Nigerian university, except in Ngige, who is the Minister of Labour? Have you seen any? At
least it's somebody. Let's quickly go to my colleague. Kaide has a question.
Thank you, Markwe. Prof, just on a final note, I've been thinking this. Will it be a fair proposal to say, you know what, how about we take the monies we're trying to budget for subsidy, right? What, 3.5 trillion or thereabouts, we don't even know how much it will come to, and put all of that in our education sector and tell Nigerians that this is a sacrifice worth making, because if anything the government has consistently said is that they don't have the funds, as it were, and we know that subsidies staring us in the face is something we have to do at least for the next 18 months, depending on what is approved. So would that be a fair proposal to take that money, invest it in our education sector, and tell Nigerians this is a sacrifice we must make if we want to train our future leaders optimally? Does that make sense?
Thank you very much. We as a union, ASUU, we don't believe there is subsidy. If there is honest subsidy, we will not be talking about subsidy today. If Niger can build a refinery, Niger, they don't have access to crude, can build a refinery. Is it a rocket science to build a refinery? Does it take 1.3 trillion naira to build a refinery? So we don't believe in it. It's just people working and making all sorts of things for this country. If you tax the academics, within 1 year we build a refinery for this country. But we are not thinking about refinery, we are thinking of subsidy importing. Does it make sense that I'm a farmer, I plant yam, and I have so many yam in my barn, but at the end, when I want to eat yam, I'll go and buy from somewhere at a high cost? Does it make sense that we have all the crude since 1950-something till now? Those who were running this country initially built up to 4 refineries. And for more than 20 years now, since this civilian regime, we have been talking about subsidy, about the importation of fuel, not building a single refinery. I think we need to ask ourselves the question, is there really subsidy? So what we are suggesting, if we can cut down on our cost, we like traveling abroad. This one, you saw recently a lady outside with all the Nigerian ladies there doing birthday. So if we cut down on this issue of frivolous things we are doing, traveling abroad, building houses abroad, and all of you, we will come back and develop Nigeria as a country. We have no other country. Your children are there, they will come back. So my advice is that the easiest way for them to do, let the federal executive, the government and the state and whatever meet and agree that to solve this problem, over the next 6 years, let's release 1 or 2% of the federal allocation fund, I don't know what they call it, to fund education, primary, secondary, and university, over 6 years, and resolve this issue. That's all. Very easy. You don't need to go and be shouting. You don't need to go and look for how we raise the money. Just say we are giving 1 or 2% of that money to fund education, state or federal.
And I certainly know that there will be legal issues around that from what we've seen in other issues. But we do hope that this issue will be resolved as quickly as possible and that our students will be able to go back to school as soon as possible too. Prof, thank you for never shying away from speaking on the issues. Thank you so much also for the work you do with ASUU. Thank you so much for coming on the program this morning. Professor Emmanuel Osodeke is the President, Academic Staff Union of Universities, and he's been speaking with us here in our Abuja studios. We'll take a break and we'll be back to consider another issue in just a moment. Please stay with us.